Okay, so we're moving on to part 3, drawing triangles. Before we move on, let's recap what skills we need for this part of the topic. Okay, first you need to know how to use a protractor to draw an angle, and that's covered in P4. And secondly, you need to use a ruler to measure the length of a line, and that's what you learned in P2. So you need a combination of these two skills in order to draw a triangle. All right. Now, what do markers look out for? Sorry, we look out for everything. What does everything include? There will be letters labeled correctly. That means I will say draw triangle ABC. I'm looking out for the A, the B, and the C labeled correctly. Angles drawn to the correct size. That means to say if I ask for 54 degrees, if I ask for this angle to be 54 degrees, we will only accept it to be 53 or 55 degrees. So like what I mentioned, plus minus 1 degrees. Correct angle is drawn. This means that if I say I want angle PRQ to be 54 degrees, and you draw me angle PQR to be 54 degrees, then that's a wrong angle. I ask for PRQ, you give me PQR. That's a wrong angle, then we cannot give you the mark. Also, the lengths of the sides of the triangles are measured and drawn correctly. So for this, if I ask for, like, for example, side EF, line EF to be 7 cm, okay, we will only accept 6.9 cm, 7 cm, and 7.1 cm, plus minus 0.1 cm. So you need to be able to draw the lines, the sides of the triangle accurately. And lastly, just to play safe, label all given information, meaning to say, like, if I say this angle is 29, please label it on your diagram 29 degrees. If I say the length of this side is 10 cm, please label it 10 cm on your diagram after you have drawn. So these are all the things to look out for. Actually, it seems like it's a lot of information, but you just need to be very accurate in your drawing. So without further ado, let's go see how we draw triangles. Actually, drawing triangles is pretty much quite easy because you just follow the angle given to you and measure the length and draw. But how to increase your chances of drawing it accurately? Here's where I share some tips and strategies. The first thing you do before you even start drawing is to always sketch the triangle first. Okay, sketch the triangle first. How to sketch? You start from the angle or angles given. Before I move on, what is the meaning of sketch? Might be the first time you see this word. So we use draw, we use measure, we use sketch. What is the difference between these three words? Now, to draw or to measure means to draw accurately. Means you need to measure using a protractor. Okay? When we say sketch in maths, it means to draw roughly. That means you don't even use a ruler. That means just roughly draw. Okay, just roughly draw. Now, what's the point of sketching the triangle first? What is the point? What is the purpose of sketching the triangle first? Okay, before drawing any of these figures, and this will also include your four-sided figures in the later topic, before you draw any figure accurately, it is always good to sketch it first so that you get a rough idea how it looks like. Here you get a rough idea how your triangle will look like. Later we'll see some examples. Okay, so after you're done sketching, we draw the triangle according to your sketch. Okay, that means after drawing your triangle, it should look roughly like your sketch. Okay, finally, compare the drawn and sketched triangle. They must look similar. Notice I used the word similar and not exactly the same. I didn't say they must look identical because remember, a sketch is just a rough drawing. Okay, it's just to make sure the angles are the correct angles. the angles are more than 90, less than 90 degrees, is to get all these things correct first. So that later when you draw, if you draw something wrongly, you will see there's a very big difference between your drawn triangle and your sketched triangle. Okay? Okay, let's move on to a first example. Now, before I move on, you should get ready your exercise book, your maths exercise book, okay, and your drawing tools, your protractor, your ruler, and a pencil. It is preferred that your pencil has a sharp nib so that you can draw more accurately. Okay, now there are a few ways you can do this. You can either watch the entire demonstration and then after that pause the video and try it yourself, or you can pause the video after each step so that you can try each step separately and do it step by step. I leave it up to you which one you want to do. Okay, so now let's move on with example 1. Example 1 says, draw a triangle DEF in which EF is 5 cm, angle DEF is 90 degrees, and angle DFE is 30 degrees. Okay, so as mentioned just now, always sketch first. Okay, roughly draw the triangle at the side. That means sketch it at the side so that you have an idea what your triangle DEF will look like in the end. Okay, so how do you sketch? You start from the angles given first. Okay, you don't draw in the length, you don't sketch the length, you sketch the angles first so that you have a rough idea how your triangle looks like.
Okay, so we are at example 1. So as mentioned, let's do our sketch first. So you will write at the corner or just at the side of the page, sketch. Okay. So, sketch. And we say start from the angles first. So I'm given two angles, angle DEF equals 90 degrees and angle DFE equals 30 degrees. Since I'm given two angles, I can start with any of the angles. So let's say I start with the easier one, the right angle, angle DEF. So I'm going to start sketching a right angle. Let me just roughly draw like that. Okay, it's a right angle. And remember your naming of angles. Okay, DEF means you'll go something like DEF. Okay, and that's DEF is 90 degrees. Next one, let's do the other angle, DFE. Angle DFE is 30 degrees. Now, look at your sketch so far. Where is DFE? Which angle are we talking about? Can you imagine a triangle? So which angle is DFE? Okay, follow letters DFE. That means there's going to be an angle here. There's going to be an angle here. And this is going to be 30 degrees. So we connect it like this, and this angle here, DFE, is 30 degrees. Yeah, in your sketch, please write down the value of the angles as well as the lengths. Okay, so now we're done with our two angles. We're left with one more. That's the length of EF. They say EF is 5 cm. Okay, so EF is here, and this must be 5 cm. Right, so we're done with our sketch. Later, your triangle must look something like this. Okay, so now we're going to do the actual drawing. Okay, based on your sketch. So looking at your sketch, it seems like you want to draw a horizontal line, EF, 5 cm. You always have to start with a line, okay? Now, sometimes the line is given to you. Sometimes the line is not given to you. So if it's given to you, please make sure to see what line is given to you. Because I can give you line DE, I can give you line EF, I can also give you line DF. Then you must rotate your sketch accordingly. right? But in this case, there's no line given, so you can start at any side. So we start with the easiest one. We follow our sketch, EF 5 cm. Okay, so we start at EF 5 cm. So remember how to use your ruler, 5 cm. 5 cm will be from 0, okay, all the way to 5. Okay, from 0 to 5. It'd be good to make a little dot here to indicate your start and end point of the 5 cm. That will help you in your protractor later. Okay, so this is your 5 cm, and please label the letters straight away, E, F. Okay, so this is 5 cm. Now, after you draw the first line, we always want to settle the angles first, because the angles are always the hardest to draw. Okay, so now we have our line EF. Let's start to draw. Let's continue to draw our angles. So I'll start with the right angle since it looks easier. Now, for special case of right angle, there are two ways to draw. You can use your protractor and mark the 90 degrees, or if your set square is sharp enough here, you can just put it here and just draw 90 degrees. Okay, some set squares are rounded here, so if you have a rounded set square you draw, you get a rounded triangle, and that will make you lose marks. So actually I prefer the protractor. Okay, so recall how to use a protractor accurately, don't rush. Okay, 90 degrees, I'll put a dot here. I'll put a dot here. Okay, so if I connect this line, point E, to this point here, it's going to be 90 degrees. Okay, do I know the length of DE? I don't know the length of DE. So since I don't know the length of DE, never mind, I just draw a line. Okay, I'll just draw a line. No worries about the additional length. You can erase it later. Okay, so that is 90 degrees for you. So we label right angle. You know your point D is going to lie somewhere along this line. Okay, now let's draw the other angle. It says 30 degrees. So over here, I'm going to measure 30 degrees and draw. Okay, 30 degrees will be here. Oops, I shifted, so go back to step 1. Make sure it will be accurate. Hold the protractor tight and mark your 30 degrees, which is here. Okay, so now I'm just going to connect this all the way until it touches the line I've drawn just now. Okay, so it will look like this. Right? So you can see these two lines, they cross each other, so this must be your point D. Okay, and as I said just now, label all the given information. They said this is 30, so I label 30. Right, now you compare the actual drawing and your sketch. They look pretty much similar in a sense that, okay, my DEF is in the correct direction and my triangle is lying on EF. Okay, correct rotation. There's a 30 degrees here, you see? Yeah, so it looks similar. That's what I mean by similar. Now for the extra lines, you can actually erase them, although it's not necessary because you really have drawn triangle DEF according to the points here. So if you want to make them look nice, you can erase it, but you need to be very careful when you erase it. The problem with erasing the lines is because you erase too much and you just use freehand to add the lines back, you're going to minus marks. You're going to lose marks because it's not straight. Okay, so just be careful in your erasing. What's more important is the labeling of your points. So now I can see triangle DEF is here.
Let's move on to example 2, and let's see what they want us to draw. Draw a triangle GHK in which HK is 7 cm, HG is 4 cm, and angle GHK is 50 degrees. As I mentioned earlier, before you start any proper drawing, do a sketch first so that you know in the end how your drawn triangle will look like. Okay, remember to sketch first. And always remember, when you do your sketching, don't bother using ruler or protractor because a sketch is just a rough drawing. And remember to start from the angles first. So in this case, I'm only given one angle. So when I do my sketch, I will do angle GHK 50 degrees first.
Alright, on to example 2. So as mentioned, do your sketch first. So let's do the sketch at the side. Okay. Now I'm going to show you how the sketch will help you in your drawing. Okay. So I'm going to just do the sketch first. And I said start at angle. So I'll start at angle GHK 50 degrees. So in other words, you draw a 50 degrees. How will you just estimate how 50 degrees look like? Will it look like this? Will that be 50 degrees? So based on your P3 angles knowledge, you know that is not 50 degrees. So it doesn't have to be accurate. It doesn't have to be that accurate. So for example, maybe 50 degrees. Okay, maybe around like that. Okay. So, and I call that 50 degrees. And they say it's called GHK. So put down your lettering. Very important. GHK. Okay. What else do they say? They say HK is 7 cm. Oh, just nice. HK is here, and this is 7 cm. And HG is 4 cm. Now, if they say HK is 7 cm and HG is 4 cm, they are also telling you HK is longer than HG. So in your sketch, try not to do this. Okay. If it's 4 cm, try and make it look shorter than the 7 cm. You don't have to be exact, but just look like. Okay. So just get rid of this line. So okay, that looks shorter than 7 cm, so that's 4 cm. So don't forget to close up your triangle. I have seen students drawing a triangle like this. This is not a triangle, this is called angle, not triangle. Okay, so remember to close up, then you'll get your triangle. So now this is your sketch. This is your sketch. So in the end, your triangle should look something like this later. So now let's try and draw the triangle properly based on this. So same thing, I'm not given any line, so I just start with any line and preferably the horizontal line here. Okay, and I just start with this. And since they say it's 7 cm, let's make it 7 cm. Okay, 7 cm would be from here 0 to 7. And remember your two little dots to mark the start and end point of your 7 cm line. And that's your 7 cm. Now don't wait, immediately write down the letters because the lettering is very important. GHK, HGK, KHG, very important. So write down your lettering. Okay, so this is 7 cm. The first thing we will try to draw will be the angle. Let's get the angle out first. So I want GHK to be 50 degrees. Okay, GHK 50 degrees. So let's try 50 degrees. Okay, 50. Oh, 50 is here. So 50 degrees. Right. And they want GH to be 4 cm. So let's get it to be 4 cm. And here's a little tricky because if you start at 0, you realize it's going to be 5 cm. And if you move to 4 cm, you realize you can't reach the dot there that you have drawn. So you need to do a bit of subtraction. So let's start from 10 cm. Okay, I'll line a dot there. So I want 4 cm. 10 minus 4. I will stop at 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4. This will be a 4 cm. And that will be my point G. Okay, and last but not least, let's close up the triangle. And you will realize that when you compare your sketch, this is what I mean by the triangles look very different. Okay, the triangles look very different. Here, my triangle has a 50 degrees, which is smaller than a right angle. And if you notice, based on your sketch, all the angles are at most a right angle. Can't be larger than a right angle. But here, very clearly, you have an angle that is larger than a right angle. So this is an example of how your sketch can tell you that your triangle is drawn wrongly. Okay, so in that case, of course you erase and you try again. Okay, if you reach this stage, any diligent student will naturally pay more attention to angle GHK now to make sure you don't get it wrong on the second go. Okay. So, on the second try, you make sure you read the correct 50 degrees and it's over here. Put a dot. Okay, so that's the 50 degree dot. Same thing, you are not going to reach there with 4 cm. So we need to do a bit of subtraction. So let's start from 10 again. Very accurately, make sure it touches point H and the dot you have drawn. So something like that. So 1, 2, 3, 4 cm. Stop at 6. And this is how my GH will look like. And this is 50 degrees. Compare GHK 50 degrees. And you have said this is 4 cm. Last but not least, don't leave it like this. This is not a triangle, this is an angle. So to make it a triangle, we close up like this. And this is your triangle GHK.
We're done with 2 examples. So now let's move on to the last example, example 3. Let's see what it wants us to draw. It says, draw a triangle PQR in which PQ equals QR equals 5 cm and angle PQR is 155 degrees. Oh, after that, measure angle QRP. So in other words, I'm supposed to draw a triangle, and after that, I'm supposed to measure my own triangle, the angle QRP. Okay, here, you have to make sense of what this statement actually means. If you can follow my cursor, you have to make sense of what this statement actually means. PQ equals QR equals 5 cm. So basically, what this statement is telling you PQ is the same as QR, which is 5 cm. That means to say you're going to get 2 lines that are the same, and each of those lines will be 5 cm. Let's try and recall a triangle with 2 sides the same. What kind of triangle do we call it? I'm sure you know the name. Let's try to draw this triangle now.
Alright, this is for example 3. So as mentioned, you start with your sketch. Always start with your sketch. Okay, so we write there sketch, and we start drawing our sketch. So I want a triangle PQR in which PQ and QR are both 5 cm and PQR is 155 degrees. Do not be so excited to draw your equal sides first, because always start drawing from the angle. Once you get the angle correct, why start drawing from the angle? Because once you get the angle correctly sketched, your lettering, your naming of the points P, Q, and R will most likely be correct. So we always start from the angle. So they want angle PQR to be 155 degrees. So now let's think, how would 155 degrees look like? Could it look like this? Would that be 155? That wouldn't be 155. So let's try and just sketch 155 degrees. So you look something like, maybe like that. Okay, 155. And don't forget your letters, PQR. So PQR, PQR. Okay, now we try and put in lengths. So PQ is QR is 5 cm. PQ and QR are both 5 cm. Oh, PQ and QR are both 5 cm. Is there anything wrong with my sketch? Yes, although it's roughly drawn, it's just a rough drawing, but you still need to try to show that if it's the same length, try and show that it looks like the same length. So I will try and make my PQ look like my QR. So it would look something like that. Maybe a bit longer. Yeah, it doesn't have to be exact, but at least make it look the same. Okay? Try and make it look the same. So this would look like that. So since they are the same, maybe you want to mark this equal sides and label 5 cm, 5 cm. Okay? So I'm done with my PQ equals QR equals 5 cm. I'm done with my PQR is 155 degrees. So I can close up the triangle. So you look something like that. Just a rough drawing. Okay, and later they want me to measure angle QRP. So later I must measure QRP. So later I must measure this one. Okay, so our sketch is done. Let's try to draw it accurately. As usual, I'm not given a line, so I just type any line, and I would like to usually start with, the line at the bottom. Okay. So I'll draw QR first, and it says QR is 5 cm. So let's get QR to be 5 cm. Let's make QR 5 cm. Remember your starting and ending points. So that is QR 5 cm. Okay. Like I said, don't be too excited to draw your isosceles triangle, your two equal sides. Always remember, we get the angles out first. So the angle is 155. I'm going to try and draw 155 degrees now. $155. Be very careful. 150, 160, 155 is in the middle. So it's here. Okay, roughly around there. So now I'm going to connect and draw line PQ, and it has to be 5 cm as well, as stated in the question. Oh, not long enough. So what do? I have to start somewhere in the middle and do some subtraction. Okay, let's start at 8. 8 minus 5, I'll end at 3. But first, align the dots. Align the points. Okay, 8 minus 5 is 3. So I will end here at 3. Okay, so that's P. QR 155 degrees. Now, if you're not confident, it looks like your PQ is longer than your QR, then you can always use your ruler to measure again. Well, QR is 5 cm. PQ is also 5 cm. Okay, so it has to be right. By the way, my camera is at a slanted angle, so if I do this, you will see that it's not at 0, but when you pull your head over the ruler, you will see that it's actually at 0. Okay, that's what we call parallax error. So anyway, I'm done. I should mark the equal sides, and I should also say this is 5 cm. So I've done everything. It's time to close up the triangle. So we'll just close up the triangle and join Q and R. And that's how our triangle PQR would look like. Okay, well, it looks a bit different from our sketch, but at least the key points are here. We have 2 equal sides. We have 155, and it looks like 155. So it's roughly the same. And for this question, there's an additional task. We are supposed to measure QRP, angle QRP. Now, before measuring, for this question, you have learned previously that you can actually find the angle QRP without measuring, because you learn the properties of isosceles triangle. So you can use that as a check. 180, these two angles are the same. So 180 minus 155, you should get 25. 25 divided by 2, you get around 12.5. So when I measure, I should get around 12.5. That means either 12 or 13. So let's take a look. If I do get that, I'm accurate. If I don't get that, I wasn't accurate enough in my drawing. Okay, I'll just hold it upright for you to see. You can see that it is really between 12 and 13. So I was quite accurate in my drawing. Okay, now since it's closer to 12, I shall put my answer as 12 degrees.
So we have come to the end of the 3 demonstrations on how to draw a triangle. So let's just recap. What do markers look out for, or what do you have to look out for? You have to make sure your letters are labeled correctly. Okay, if I say angle TUS, don't give me angle TSU. So make sure the letters are labeled correctly. Having said that, that's also angles drawn to the correct size, and the correct angle is drawn. Okay, lengths are also measured and drawn accurately and correctly. And last but not least, label all given information. Okay, now you can practice more drawing by tearing out your activity book. Okay, you can get the number 4s to get your 5B activity book and tear out pages 141 to 142. Now this activity has two pieces of paper. Write your name on the top of page 143. Today, I just want you to try page 141 to page 142. We'll just do 4 questions for a start.